I'm Yao. Welcome to Motherfrackers. It's an exciting March, I'll tell you what. For the first time ever, we're partnering with MusicTech Labs Poland, and I'll be hosting this month's Industry Review. I think we've been talking about direct-to-fan for the last 3 years. There have been rumblings here and there about different labels, different tech companies coming up with a killer solution, but we haven't seen anything that's really taken over or made a huge impact. Up until now, that is. In the recent partnership with Universal Music Group and EVEN, also known as Get Even, it certainly signals things are changing. So we're going to do a little bit of a deep dive into that and really look at what it signals for where the music business is heading. The big three consists of Sony Music, Warner Music Group, and of course Universal Music Group. They control over 80% of today's recorded music industry. Universal alone controls the catalog of some of the biggest artists ever. So think Drake, think Taylor, think Kendrick, I think like two Bobs, another Bob, throw a SpongeBob into there. There's like The Weeknd, there's Rosalia, there's Katrina. It's a long list. It's a long list. And that list goes back decades upon decades. So if you don't know anything about the music business, just know that Universal Music Group controls a big chunk of it. And these guys have just signed a partnership deal with EVEN. This is big news. Who are EVEN, you might ask? Now at first, it might just look like another partnership between a major record label and another tech company. A lot of these deals happen. They happen every month. But this one is different. When the largest music company in the world starts making serious moves around direct-to-fan infrastructure, I think we have to pay serious attention. Bear in mind, the CEO, Lucian Grainge, has been very, very critical about streaming. In fact, over the last decade, he's had a lot to say about streaming and how it works and who it serves, etc. So this one is getting interesting. He's previously said the industry needs to move away from ad-supported revenue. Let's reward fans who actually drive direct engagement. Called non-believers of artist-centric payments merchants of garbage. That's like a Ninja Turtle character. And to be fair, Lucian's got some good points there. So I like this, because for me, this looks like he's putting his money where his mouth is, right? Now let's zoom in a little bit more. I like where this is going. So EVEN was founded in 2022, 4 years ago. They spent the first 2 years actually building the platform. It only launched in 2024, 2 years ago. Fast forward today, they're in over 100 countries, a bunch of distributor partners, and over 100,000 artists on the platform. 2 years. In 2 years. But what's notable is they've proved the direct-to-fan model actually works and can actually feed into the mainstream label infrastructure. J. Cole's Billboard #1, The Fall Off, is a clear example of that. That's a Billboard #1. Billboard #1. This isn't happening after it's been tried and tested a few times. These guys have worked with hundreds of artists. This is more than a proof of concept. They passed that stage. This is a working model that's now being plugged into a bigger system. On the last episode of Motherfrackers podcast, please check it out here. We did a really nice deep dive into this. We spoke about how streaming really dominates discovery and direct-to-fan monetizes depth. Those are two different parts of the funnel. Think about it. So the question is no longer, will streaming survive? The question now is, who actually owns the relationship with the fan? If you zoom out even more now, this really talks about an interesting trend that's happening in music tech right now. In fact, this trend has been going on for a minute. About a year, 2 years ago, everybody was talking about direct-to-fan. We were kind of assuming that fans are running around with bags of cash and that we can just monetize them directly, and the focus was all around super fandom. But there wasn't any singular platform that were able to demonstrate they could get fans to engage. Well, there are platforms like Patreon that do great in subscription, TikTok with the tipping system, elements of Discord. But really nobody has done this in music properly, at least up until now. UMG are specifically embracing a platform built around direct-to-fan, super fandom transactions. That's a signal. That's a signal that the majors see direct-to-fan as complementary infrastructure, right? Not competitive, because they're embracing this. And what I think is there's a whole ecosystem that's going to develop around these relationships. There's going to be a bunch of other platforms that do this in different ways, but with the same kind of logic. And then this is just direct-to-fan infrastructure. But for me, this also signals the opportunity within music tech to support, because artists are going to have to get a lot more creative, entrepreneurial. They're going to have to foster and develop relationships with their fan bases. So this, I think, births different kinds of marketing opportunities, community building opportunities, fan engagement opportunities. So I see startups being born in these different verticals to essentially develop an ecosystem of new products and services that allow an artist to be able to demand that kind of direct-to-fan engagement or direct-to-fan revenue. Number two, superfan monetization is becoming a major industry theme. Across the industry, we're seeing startups, we're seeing labels, we're seeing platforms talking about superfandom, and they have been for years. I'm saying this. This is not the first time it's coming up. I know some people are going to say, "Yow, this has been an ongoing theme." We know that, but I think it's getting closer to the maturity level. Not quite mature, but 2 years ago there were articles about this everywhere, and everybody was like, "Oh, super fandom." But a lot of people knew that, man, how are you gonna get people to pay? We have enough subscriptions. We have enough. We're sharing our attention in this. It's like, you know what I mean? Now it looks like this is the next revenue layer beyond streaming. This is showing up in ticketing, exclusive releases, community platforms. Everybody is putting a paywall, a button, a tip, a direct payment, a donation. Independent artists are proving this model actually works. Look at artists like LaRussell. He demonstrated that with small groups of committed fans, he was able to generate serious revenue through direct sales and community engagement. The concept is being industrialized across platforms. There's also the rise of hybrid distribution models. So instead of replacing streaming, new platforms are essentially building hybrid release strategies, different kind of release formats to release schedules. Again, this is an opportunity for new entrants into the market to provide services that assist with release campaign rollouts, marketing campaigns, re-energizing older releases for bringing life back to older catalogs. So artists might release exclusively directly to their fans for a week or two before it gets to streaming platforms, and then after they've fed their core market, then the music goes to the traditional streaming platforms. I think they can all coexist. They just serve different purposes at different times, because again, one is about discovery and the other is about hardcore engagement. So again, you take it to the fans first, and then after that you take it to the DSPs for scale and discovery. There's nothing wrong with that. They can both coexist. So here's my closing take. The EVEN UMG deal isn't just about one platform. Tidal announced that they'll be doing direct-to-fan payments too. So I think we're going to hear a string of announcements every other week. So this is about the industry recognizing and realizing something fundamental. Streaming solved access, but it didn't solve monetization for every artist. Direct-to-fan platforms are trying to flip that. And now that the majors are participating, the next step is execution. Can these platforms actually scale beyond niche fan communities? Think about it. I mean, you have J. Cole traveling in a beat-up Honda Accord or Ford Galaxy, and he's going from like village to village, city to city, town to town, coast to coast with a trunk full of CDs. And this boy's dedicated. He is dedicated, but he's got a core niche group of fans and people who love him. This guy's like flipping burgers in kitchens. This guy's like changing his tires. Fans are coming and helping him change the tires. They're cleaning out the backseat and come on. Like, is every artist willing to do that grind? This is the artist getting out there and engaging and massaging and just developing these audiences. I don't think you can just say, hey guys, I'm now direct to fan, come and buy my stuff. It's not going to work like that. You really have to sort of, you really got to schmooze, and you really have to create a whole experience. It has to be worth the pay. So they can be proud to pay, like Nipsey said, proud to pay. So yes, the next question is execution. And can artists really execute into real world, real engagement release strategies? That's what I'm going to be watching for. That's what I'm super interested. I really want to see how rollouts are going to change, because I think this now becomes a rollout game. And again, for me, this is another opportunity for other platform marketing services, AI tools. Is like, how are you going to refine these engagement strategies? How are you going to refine these rollout strategies? Think about it. When we had streaming at its biggest, like, it was all about playlisting, getting on the right playlists. How are you placing your ads strategically? And a bunch of startups and a bunch of companies were birthed in this era. There were loads of these playlist placements, playlist pitching platforms. So this is going to be the next equivalent. The next equivalent of playlist companies and playlist service providers. It's now going to be about rollouts. It's going to be less of cut and paste type approaches. It's now going to be about custom, unique approaches. How do you get your audience to believe in you and what you're doing? So rather than just going and streaming and paying $9 or €9 a month, they're thinking, hey man, I don't mind paying my favorite artist a $5, a $10, a $20, whatever it is, as long as I felt the value in what they were releasing. So I think there's opportunity here, obviously not just for artists, but also tech companies who are building products and services to support this potentially growing space in direct to fan. This is Yao, host of Mother Fracas with MusicTech Labs Poland. This has been Industry Take. See you next time. Peace.